I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Watchung Borough Board of Education on May 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, 1 second, everybody. There we go. Okay, welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that the advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung at which formal action may be taken. This meeting is being conducted remotely using communication technology. Instructions for joining the meeting and participating in public comments have been posted on the district website and sent to the Watchung Borough and the Watchung Public Library, as well as to the school community through an email blast. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda at points in the meeting provided for the public to address the board. Members of the public also have been given the option to submit public comments to the board's secretary via email or written letter no later than 24 hours in advance of the meeting. Recording or photographing other than for private personal use requires the consent of parents/guardians whose children may be included in the image. May we, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barbella?
Here.
Mr. Buccarelli?
Here.
Mrs. Harvey?
Here.
Mrs. Ingracia?
Here.
Mr. Kraft? Mr. Kraft was on a minute ago. We'll come back to him. Mrs. Murad?
I see him on the screen. If he can maybe just raise his hand.
He's frozen.
Oh.
Yep, there he is.
There he is.
Thank you. Mrs. Murad?
Here.
Mrs. Posehn?
Here.
Mrs. Scharf?
Here.
Okay, all board members are present.
Okay, can we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Can we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
I went backwards. I usually do you last. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Mr. Barbella?
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mrs. Murad?
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn?
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf?
Yes.
Motion to go to executive session passes.
And Mr. Pepe, can you please read why we're moving into executive session?
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-11, permits the Board of Education to meet in closed session to discuss certain matters, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Education adjourns to closed session to discuss material, the disclosure of which constitutes an unwarranted invasion of individual privacy and specific prospective or current employees, unless all who could be adversely affected request an open session. Further be it resolved, the minutes of this closed session will be made public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. This closed session will be followed by an open session where action may be taken.
Okay, great. So can all the board members please leave this meeting and find the email that Connie so graciously sent us and click on the first one that says executive session. I'll see you guys there. Okay, so now I'm going to ask, are there any nominations to fill the board seat?
Yes, I would like to make a nomination
This is Michelle. I'd like to nominate Kevin McDonald for the vacant seat on the Board of Ed.
Is there a second?
Second. Rich.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, seeing that there are no other nominations, before you place your vote, I would just like to remind the board members to please give a brief explanation as to the reason they are voting for a candidate. Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Barbella,
Yes, and I'd like to thank all the candidates, and I appreciate everyone's background and what they could bring to the table to assist the board, and to their compassion and consideration for the children of the district. But I felt that Kevin had the right background in areas of need currently for the board, which is the reason for my vote for Kevin. But all candidates, I want to thank them for their compassion again, and their willingness to devote their time and background and expertise to assist not only the board but the entire district. So I thank everyone.
Mr. Buccarelli.
Yes, hi. I'd like to echo Mr. Barbella's comments, thanking all of the candidates for their interest in public service. I know it's not easy. We all know that from experience. And I think that anybody who throws their hat into the ring should be commended for that, and hope they stay active in the community. I also thought Kevin was the best candidate for, again, most of the reasons that Joe stated. I think his experience, the talent we need on the board, his background, and especially the fact that he's been a long time resident of Watchung, and has a very good feeling for the community and how to improve the school district. Thank you.
Mrs. Ingracia.
Yeah, I echo what both gentlemen just said before me, so I won't go on and on, but I do thank everyone for coming forward, stepping up to participate in the oversight of the school district. I think, as was stated, everyone brought real tangible skills to the table and would be well suited for the board. But I do agree that this candidate's professionalism, background, skill set in terms of municipal planning and tax advocacy as an attorney are very well suited, not just to board business in general, but to our challenges that we face here in the district. So I am a yes on this.
Mr. Kraft.
Yes. Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Yes, thanks. First of all, I loved everyone's passion. All three candidates brought a ton of passion to their interview, and really appreciate the willingness to volunteer their time. It is a significant time commitment. I just, for the two that weren't nominated today, I went through this twice, didn't get nominated, and then got voted in. So if you're interested, keep going. Appreciate the passion. You both have excellent skills that a Board of Ed could benefit from. But like those before me, Kevin's specific skill set for where we are and what we're trying to accomplish right now and in the very short-term future is critical. His understanding of the role of the Board of Ed, coming in and just being able to hit the ground running, was important to me. So yeah, look forward to working with him.
Mrs. Murad.
Aiden and Kevin for interviewing. It takes a lot of time and effort to just, sit here. And I know it's not easy, especially over a Zoom meeting and a Google Meet to be able to, you know, just interview. So I really appreciate that. And my vote is for Kevin, and it's because of what he said, that we need to be ready for the future. And I agree with him 100%. Thank you.
Mrs. Posehn?
My vote is yes. First, I'd like to thank all three candidates for joining us tonight. It's not every day that we have a board vacancy, and certainly three candidates that are interested in a board vacancy. It speaks to who you are as a citizen of Watchung and as an interested person in the Board of Ed. So thank you very much. I echo what Jessica said about Kevin's background as a tax attorney. I think that will benefit us tremendously. I think his long-standing in the community is also going to be beneficial to understanding where we've been, where we're coming from, and where we would like to go.
Mrs. Scharf?
Yes, I will echo what everyone has said, that I think it takes a lot of courage to throw your hat in the ring for Board of Ed. So I really, to all of the candidates, I really applaud you, because it takes a special person to really put themselves out there and want to be involved in something like this. So I give you a lot of credit for getting it together and interviewing. So thank you, and thank you for your time. As for Mr. McDonald, I think he'll be an amazing fit. I think that his skill set is exactly what we need right now, and I think he'll make a wonderful addition to our board.
Mrs. Harvey?
It's so difficult going last after everyone has said everything, but I'd like to thank, you know, all three community members for their interest. It was great hearing the passion from all three of them, and just like different areas that they have experience in, and their backgrounds. It was a pleasure meeting all of them, and kind of getting, like, as Jen says, in this weird environment, but I mean, getting to know them a little bit. And I do agree with Adam. He did put in many times, and he wound up running and getting elected. And, you know, if this is what you're passionate about, then don't give up. And, you know, you never know what will happen. You know, it was very difficult to decide, but Kevin did say something that resonated with me, where he said investing in schools is investing in the town. And I think with what we have in front of us, that's the type of team building that I would expect from a new board member to come in, because the decisions that the board is making and will make are not always easy. And that, you know, all of his, you know, I was actually quite shocked as to all of his knowledge as what it entails for a board member. I think we've gone through a couple interviews already, but Kevin pretty much nailed it, which was great. And then just, you know, his willingness to dedicate his time, his budgeting experience, and just kind of like what Michelle said, you know, how he has a systematic way of working out problems. So I think he would be, you know, we're very happy to have him on the board. So welcome aboard. And, you know, I appreciate, again, all of the candidates who came in. It does take a lot to put yourself out there, and don't give up. So yes, my vote is yes. Thank you.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. McDonald.
I think in the past, I don't know if Mr. McDonald is prepared for this, but in the past, I think we've allowed the candidate to respond or to make a brief statement. So I don't know if he's in the attendees, if he can raise his hand.
Actually, I've already clicked to allow him to talk. So if he would like to say something, he can come up now.
Hello, everybody. This is Kevin McDonald. I'd just like to thank the board for their confidence in me, and I look forward to serving the town. And you know, it's something that I am passionate about. I want to make sure that our schools remain at the highest level that they can be, and I look forward to contributing in any way that I can. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to board member comments.
I have a comment thanking our administrative assistant, Connie Hankaski, for giving us such a great package of agendas and links to enable this Zoom executive session to occur. Thank you, Connie, for all your help.
I second that. And I also wanted to say before I head out, because it's Eid today, thank you for Connie, and thank you, Rich, as well. And then I wanted to say thank you to CPEG for their generous gifts today. And enjoy the rest of your meeting. And I will see you guys soon.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you, Amber. Happy Eid.
Yeah. Bye.
I wanted to mention, just give a shout out and a little thank you to our Watchung Rescue Squad, because I believe that actually starting Sunday, it is EMS Workers Week. It's also been mentioned to me that I believe starting Sunday that the Rescue Squad building will be open after 6 o'clock. So if anyone's looking for anything to do with the kids, go check out an ambulance, talk to them, see what's going on. I also believe there'll be chalk out there. Maybe the children can draw some messages of thanks to the EMS workers and all that they've done for us, particularly over this past year, and all they continue to do for us.
I just wanted to mention, which I know Amber already did, but Ramadan has ended and the celebration of Eid is taking place today. And I would like to wish well all of our community members who are celebrating. And I also too would like to thank the CPAG for the generous gift that was given to the board members today. It was very unexpected and extremely thoughtful, and thank you for your generosity.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. Thank you.
Are there any other board member comments? Okay, so we're going to move on to the superintendent's remarks.
Thank you, Mrs. Harvey. Good evening, everyone. I also want to thank all three candidates for their interest in serving on the board. And I want to extend my congratulations to Mr. McDonald. We look forward to working with you, Kevin. Welcome aboard. Given this is the third meeting in as many weeks, I'll keep my remarks relatively brief. I do want to emphasize that the enhanced instructional model continues to go very smoothly, and we're thrilled to have more kids in school for longer days. I'm also pleased to see that the case rates and other indicators in the Cali report that comes out every Thursday continue to drop significantly. And I want to thank everyone in our community for contributing to this trend. We are looking into whether we can host a county-sponsored vaccine clinic at Valley View for students 12 and over. If we are able to make the arrangements, Valley View families will receive a short survey to gauge interest. Last week, I recognized the PTO for its generous appreciation expressed for our teachers and staff. This evening, in recognition of Special Education Week, I want to offer our gratitude to CPAG for their generous and gracious expressions of appreciation to the board and staff. It was very kind. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Ditota for her monthly update.
Thank you, Mr. Alexis. I'll make mine nice and long to make up for yours being short tonight. May is Better Speech and Hearing Month. We have 2 district speech and language specialists who work with our students every day to assess and treat speech, language, and communication disorders and delays. They also prepared information this month to be shared with all of our staff about speech and language development and the role of a speech and language specialist in the schools. As Mr. Alexis said, this week, the second week of May, is recognized in New Jersey as Special Education Week to highlight the hard work of over 230,000 students who receive special education instruction in New Jersey's public and private schools, and more than 20,000 children who receive services through early intervention programs. As such, I would like to thank the administration and the Board of Education for their continued dedication to providing and maintaining quality programs and services for students with disabilities. I would like to acknowledge all of the staff who assist, teach, and provide related services to our students each day. We are all dedicated to seeing each of our students succeed, and we could certainly not do this without the support and collaboration of our parents and families. Special thanks goes out to our CPAG, not only for the beautiful flowers and all of the goodies they showered the staff with this week, and the Jim Basketball Jones virtual assembly that provided so many important lessons for our students in such a fun way, but also for the ongoing collaboration and open dialogue. We do have a few upcoming Department of Special Services and CPAG meetings on the calendar. On May 24th, there will be a virtual meeting at 7 p.m. The topic for that meeting is speech and language and also transitions. On June 14th, we have a meeting scheduled to discuss ESY and other summer ideas. We will have a date soon for a Department of Special Services and CPAG Summer Collaboration and Planning Day. Participation information has been sent to parents of students who are recommended for extended school year, and we look forward to hearing back from everyone about planning to attend this summer. My last announcement, the registration process is underway for the 2021-22 preschool at Bayberry. The Preschool at Bayberry website contains information about the program and a link to a Google form application. All parents who have completed the form already will be hearing from us soon with the next steps in the registration process. Thank you all for your interest in our preschool program. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Ditota. Now over to Mrs. Fickner.
Good evening, everybody. All right, mine is kind of in the middle of short and long, so here we go. On May 3rd, we transitioned to our 3/4 day schedule, and it's going great. Students are enjoying eating lunch at school with help from our parent volunteers and staff. It's been great having the parents in. They are super helpful. Our newly erected tent gives us some additional space for eating, and all the students will have an opportunity to enjoy it. I'm going to just have a rotation schedule. There are also some exciting things going on in our classrooms. In preschool, the children have been diving into their creative curriculum by exploring roads, keeping the earth clean, and recycling. First grade is experiencing the butterfly life cycle firsthand in their classrooms, and they are so excited about it. They love watching them grow, and they are documenting their changes in their science journals. Second grade is learning about different cultures through parent guest speakers, multicultural literature, poetry, and student discussions about their family traditions. The students are excited to learn about Jamaica, Mexico, and India from our parent volunteers, and we thank them for volunteering. Third grade has been really busy growing their own vegetables as part of their science unit on plants. They started seedlings in their classroom, and now since the weather has been nice, they have begun working on planting tomatoes, beans, cucumbers, and even potatoes outside in our garden. But they also have a lot of weeding to do out there. So they have been hard at work. And lastly, we have our spring pictures tomorrow. So please be sure to order online or send in the order form with your child. And virtual students may sign up through the Sign Up Genius emailed home. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Fickner. And now for Mrs. Kidd.
Thank you, Mr. Alexis. We've had an exciting couple of weeks. On Monday, May 3rd, the Valley View staff were super excited to welcome all in-person students to school 5 days a week. I extend just so much gratitude for the support that our Board of Education and our staff and our parents have given to get us to this point. It has been very, very exciting for the students to come in person and for us to see all those smiling faces. Our new schedule also allowed students to work in person with teachers during 5th period for study hall, art enrichment, our SOAR program, band, and chorus. It is wonderful to see so many smiling faces. And several of our students shared the following quotes that I wanted to share with you. One student said, "I'm happy. I feel like school is better together in person." Another student, "This is good. Now that everyone is in school, it's much more fun and engaging." Another one, "I like the fact that if we need help, you can get to us right away." Since I was new to Watchung in September, I have been able to meet a lot more people this week, not only from our class, but from other classes too. And I think one student sums things up the best when he says, "I love it. It's just like the old days." Teacher Appreciation Week began on May 3rd also. Our staff was welcomed each day with sidewalk chalk messages and provided with tasty treats in the faculty room from the PTO and various parents. The celebrations continued this week with the CPAG helping our school recognize Special Education Week by sponsoring a virtual assembly with Basketball Jones for all students to enjoy during our 5th period. While performing various basketball tricks, Mr. Basketball Jones reinforced messages of inclusiveness and respect. As I walked around the hallways and peeked into classrooms, it was nice to see the kids relaxing and enjoying and laughing along and interacting with the video messages. CPAG also shared tokens of appreciation with our entire special education staff. Then on May 11th, the Valley View Student Council provided a luncheon for our staff and sent messages of thanks to show their gratitude. The generosity of our parent and student groups was greatly appreciated. I thank each and every person who was involved. And I really think it was a great show and a great change for our school to have even more kids participate in these wonderful activities. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. And for those celebrating tonight, I hope you have a great holiday.
Thanks, Mrs. Kidd. The last of this section are the enrollment reports, and we are holding firm at 620 students district-wide, 16 more than we had on the first day of school. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, George. We're going to move to the committee reports. Michelle, can you give us an update as to what's happening in human resources?
Sure. So this is the time of year where the HR section on the agenda gets a little bit longer. We'll be looking at appointments of staff this evening. I know Mr. Alexis has also talked in the past about some rearrangements of positions, and those are on here as well. Happy to say we also have another appointment for a district substitute, which is great news because we'll be able to provide coverage when needed and really support those kids.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Rich, can you give us an update about operations and finance?
Sure. Basically, the update on operations and finance came at our special meeting last week, where we discussed the next steps with the long-range facilities plan and the possible referendum and the budget for the upcoming school year. That took up all of the time, except for the procedures on how we were going to vote on replacing the board member. So I think last week's meeting was the entirety of what the operations committee discussed.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Jen, can you please give us a curriculum committee update?
Yes. Curriculum committee met last Thursday, May 6th. We had a pretty lengthy discussion about homework, particularly over at Valley View, and just how the submission process has been rolling out for the children online. So we discussed that at length. 8th grade graduation plans, 4th grade graduation plans, still building, and the excitement is building, and it's just so great that this year is going to be different than last year for those children. Summer programs, still planning, still working on staff, and that is it.
Okay, and I'll give the policy committee update. It was George and myself who attended, and we went over the eligibility of residents, which was, I believe, 5111. We just updated or changed slightly a couple things in the regulation, but I'm sure Joe will go over that when we get to that in the meeting. And then we also briefly discussed the homework policy, which then, you know, it was just very evident that there was really no need for a policy change, and that it would be moved into the curriculum committee for a more in-depth discussion about that. And it was probably ended in record time for the policy committee. So it was great. All right, so the board liaison reports. Rich, can you please give the legislative liaison an update?
Sure. There were 3 bills signed by the governor, passed into law. One was a pilot program for social and emotional learning in early elementary years. There will be 3 counties chosen in the state, one in the north, one in the central, one in the south, to pilot a 5-year program on the Clayton model, which is named after a school district in New Jersey, which fosters early engagement in social and student social and emotional learning. The curriculum committee might want to follow the progress of that. The second one was a law that eases requirements for the qualifications for being a substitute teacher, because during the pandemic, there's been, I think people have been experiencing a, you know, much in it, like in other industries, experiencing difficulty in filling positions for substitute teachers. And the third, Rich Pepe, I don't know if we know much about yet, but the governor did establish the centralized purchasing regimen for pandemic-related materials and services. And so this would give school districts the opportunity to buy centrally with purchasing power some of the supplies that are needed during the pandemic. That's it for legislative update.
Thank you, Rich. Adam, is there any community engagement update?
Not really, but Operation Pride was great. Hopefully people had a chance to get out there. A lot of kids having a lot of fun. The craft that was there, painting pots, flower pots, and getting free flour. My kids loved it. So I loved everyone who was involved in organizing that. And of course there was a food truck, well, 2 food trucks, which are always big hits around town. So that was great. You know, encourage everyone to come out and see each other again now that we can.
Thank you, Adam. Michelle, is there an update from the Somerset County Educational Services Commission?
No meetings at this time.
Okay, thank you. Jessica, the Somerset County School Boards Association.
No update.
Okay, and Amber's not here, so we'll move on to community engagement. Mrs. Eisenberg connected. Is there an update with the PTO?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. So the PTO, as always, has been very active. We have our spring family photo fundraiser sessions coming up this coming Sunday, in about 2 weeks, Sunday, May 23rd. You can sign up for the photo sessions at watchungpto.com. We have another food truck Friday coming tomorrow, a taco truck, a rice ball truck, chicken wings, and Amanda Bananas. So every Friday, 4 to 8 p.m. for our food truck Friday. And we're always looking for lunchtime volunteers at Bayberry from 11 to 1. You can take just an hour shift, so 11 to 12 or 12 to 1. See the kids at lunch. They're adorable and remarkably well behaved, and help provide some extra supervision so our kids can have their extended school day at Bayberry. We're continuing our Grow Sunflower Grow contest, and you can support our 4th and 8th grade graduating classes with a green Pura Vida bracelet for 4th grade, and the 8th grade car wash will be at Valley View this Saturday, May 15th, with a rain date of Sunday, May 16th. And we are also hosting an incoming kindergartner story time in partnership with the Watchung Library on June 3rd and June 5th. We also want to thank our Teacher Appreciation Week committees for Bayberry and for Valley View. They worked really hard to give extra thanks to our teachers, our staff, our administration during those weeks. The PTO will also be selling Watchung branded face masks. We'll be selling them at our upcoming Food Truck Fridays, and every student and staff member in our district will be receiving a mask, compliments from the PTO, green masks for Bayberry and blue masks for Valley View, all with the Watchung logo on them. And our elections for next year's PTO board will be held next week. All PTO members will be receiving their anonymous and virtual ballots next week for voting for the new PTO board. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Mrs. Kokiata, is there an update for WEF, or is there anyone on from WEF to give an update? Okay, seeing no hands raised. Ms. Newsome, is there a CPAG update or anyone on from CPAG? Right, and Ms. Williams, is there an IDEA update, or is there anyone on from the Watchung IDEA? Okay. So now we're going to move into comments from the public on agenda items. We welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during the meeting when the public is invited to speak. The first opportunity to comment on agenda items only is now. The second opportunity for public comment is towards the end of the meeting. Total time allotted for public comment is 30 minutes. Before you make your comment, please state your name and address. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 30 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 3 minutes duration. Comments submitted to the board secretary prior to the meeting will be read first. Our public forums are not structured as a question and answer session, but rather are offered as opportunities to share input with the board. In instances where the board feels a response is needed, the presiding officer or superintendent will address the comment. New Jersey statutes do not permit the board to discuss personnel or hiring in public session. Names of students should not be used. Mr. Pepe, will you please read this statement due to the recording of this meeting?
Members of the public should consider their comments in light of legal rights of those affected and identified in their comments, and be aware that they are personally legally responsible with potential liability for comments that they make to the board. The board shall not be held liable for comments made by members of the public. If there is anyone from the public who wishes to speak, just click raise hand in the participants panel.
Okay, I don't see any.
Lori?
I'm sorry.
Since there was no WEF update, can I just make a statement on behalf of WEF?
Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank them. I don't know if people have had a chance to see, but they purchased and our custodial staff installed a beautiful sign at the Bayberry Playground, which basically says that it was made possible through the generosity of the Bisignano family. I think it's a beautiful plaque. And I think those of you who enjoy the playground would enjoy going and looking at the plaque that WEF erected within the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to thank WEF.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
And thank you, WEF. Okay, so we don't see any hands raised. We'll move on to administrative items. Adam, can you please move administrative items?
Sure. Like to move administrative items A1, approve minutes of previous meeting, and A2, accept school security drill report.
Can we have a second?
Second, Joe.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli,
Abstain on A1, yes on A2.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad, oh, she's not here, my bad. Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
sorry about that. Mrs. Scharf
Yes.
and Mrs. Harvey.
Yes.
Okay, both motions pass.
Michelle, can you please move personnel items?
Sure. Before I move the items, I just want to make sure on B6, that is the correct information. Rich Pepe, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. That's a part-time position. He works a few hours a month doing our treasurer's reports.
Great. Okay. Thank you. I'd like to move the following personnel items. B1, appoint certificated tenured staff. B2, appoint certificated non-tenured teaching staff. B3, appoint administration and non-affiliated staff. B4, appoint district music teacher. B5, appoint district world language ESL teacher. B6, appoint treasurer. B7, abolish existing district maintenance / custodian position. B8, establish the following district maintenance staff position. B9, appoint district maintenance staff. B10, appoint district substitute.
Is there a second?
Second, Adam.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey.
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Rich, can you please move operation items?
Yes, I'd like to move item C1, approve payment of bills. Item C2, approve transfer of funds. Item C3, accept financial reports. Item C4, authorize municipal tax levy payments. Item C5, approve addendum to extend agreements with ESS Northeast. Item C6, approve coordinated transportation agreement with Somerset County Educational Services Commission. And item C7, approve placement for special education student.
Can we have a second?
Second, Michelle.
Discussion?
Yes, even though I moved the item, I want to clarify the ESS contract approval. This is approval for substitute teaching services. And I think that it is quite within the purview of the operating committee to approve the form of contracts and also approve the dollar amounts. But I would suggest either now, if we have time, I think it starts July 1st, or in the future, that when there are contracts that deal with the educational experience in the schools, that personally, I think it would be helpful if the curriculum committee evaluated the services being provided under that contract, which I do not think is, quite frankly, in the expertise of the operations committee, certainly not my personal expertise.
Thank you for clarifying that, Rich. I think you might be able to clarify something else for me right below it, or two below it. C7, I know we touched upon this just last week during review of the budget, and the number hadn't changed of out-of-district students. So am I to understand that this is not a new placement, and this is just somehow on this agenda because it hadn't been approved before?
It is not a new student. I'm sorry, Mr. Buccarelli. But yes, it is not a new student.
Thank you.
Rich, I think that's a great idea about the ESS services. And if going forward, if we can have any types of organizations like that brought through the curriculum committee to be evaluated, that would be great.
Thank you.
Or is there any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Barbella?
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn?
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf?
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Joe, can you please move the policy items?
Sure. Move E1, approve policy and regulation for first reading. Policy and regulation 5111, eligibility of resident, non-resident students.
Is there a second?
Second, Rich.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbella?
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn?
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf?
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We have nothing under board business. Let's see, comments from the public. Please remember to state your name and address before you make a comment. And please remember to raise your virtual hand so that we know to unmute you. Okay, I don't see any. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you for joining us this evening. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good night,
Have a
everyone.
good meeting,
Good night,
everyone. Good
everyone.
night.
Right.